Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Hidden Expedition Everest. I'm MCFPapa, and this is part 12, and we're going to be finishing off the game this part. At least that's my goal. We'll see if it actually turns out that way. This throne room's pretty interesting, like having a casino type flashing lights all around it. Oh, I guess though it's in a reference to the ending of the game. And those statues up there are very creepy. And that keyboard would actually get reused in the snake charming puzzle in Hidden Expedition Amazon. And even though the statue's very creepy, the thing still has to wear a robe and a tie. I guess for comfort and looking formal at the same time. Hey, that key was in the shed location in Ravenhurst. It takes about 8 weeks to climb Everest. We set up 4 high camps along the way for resting and re-equipping. This scene could have really used some sort of animation to it, like flickering shadows along the walls, or even just the flame having some animation. And now in the inner temple, this watch is the final super secret item. And you see our reward for finding them all? You have earned the title of Master Explorer. Wasn't that worth it? Wow. I feel a great sense of pride and accomplishment for doing that. And now this is interesting perspective on the cord just all fired across presumably a really large gap down here. Ooh, and the alien statues actually blink, so that's pretty creepy. I knew what the plumb bob looked like from having to find it in Expedition Titanic. I don't know what made that guitar flying, or why they had to specify it was a V guitar when you couldn't even really see the V on it properly from how it was placed, but that's what it is. And get a load of that tiny crescent moon. Sheesh. Although I will say this whole waterfall section, like falling on these stairs, looks really nice. I guess to let you know there's something supernatural, and they have this scene and the throne room, which are depicting like water that isn't frozen despite being so high up on Everest. And back-to-back puzzles like this instead of needing to find 20 items in a scene. That's strange. And this one depicts a guy who was horribly shot up by arrows and spears and other stuff. Though this puzzle isn't nearly as tough as the previous levels one. I hope this isn't the Crazy Explorer, a sad fate. They were heading that way. I guess you base that just on like where the arrows were coming from that shot him. I don't know. Now we get the throne room and the elevator. We're very close. Now sadly, these scenes depicting a bunch of random junk scattered around Everest are probably the most accurate and realistic depictions of locations in the whole game, because that's actually a really big problem, is people will climb up Everest and then just leave a bunch of gear behind, and it doesn't go anywhere on the mountain, so there's just a bunch of effectively trash on the mountain. Because like when Edmund Hillary climbed Everest, like that was an actual like really impressive feat. But then now anyone who has enough money, if they really want to, can do it. And so now, like, there's just so many more people trying to climb it. Oh, there's a UFO hidden in this scene too. And now I assume by balloon man they mean like a man made out of the balloons kind you could get at like circuses and that. Oh no, it actually just means a guy holding a bunch of balloons. Anyway, now we're at the elevator and look at this. Ooh. So ominous. El Pato. I wonder whose boat that is. Is it our boat? There's another really creepy alien statue, though. Alright, now, to fix the elevator by finding a bunch of wrenches, that makes sense. At least more sense than needing gear to climb up Everest, so you just gotta find a bunch of hats. Like, why not make it backpacks or something, or climbing picks you needed to find? Now this scene is weird because, like, they've cleared off some of the items, actually quite a few of the items that were hidden here, but they left stuff like the bell, which is something you actually needed to find in the scene, and isn't just part of the background. And then this whole chest, that was in the Capital City Savings and Loan, except it had a bunch of money in it then. Now why would you ever need a wrench that bent? Like in a U shape? I don't know. The elevator is fixed for now. And it looks like we actually taped it together or something and didn't actually use the wrenches. This animation going up the elevator. Ooh, wow. Now it's time for the final puzzle. All different, all the same. Where you need to pick out similar things and make sure it's, because they're, for example here, like, they're all green with stripes going down, so you need to find another green one with stripes going down. These are purple but have different patterns, so you use this V instead of the other V. These are this symbol with different patterns to them, so you need to find the red one with different pattern. These are V's with different patterns to them, so find the V with the different pattern. And then for these, you need to find those symbols that have the different... Oh, no, not that one. Oh yeah, it would need to be clear like that. Then it opens a portal, and we get a bunch of jewels. Congratulations, you have reached the summit. For finishing in first place, you have been awarded the Grand Unlimited Riches Trophy. We applaud you on your perseverance, tenacity, cleverness, and daring in reaching the peak first. Relax, spend your riches wisely, and prepare yourself for the next hidden expedition. Yeah, and now, in the ending, it's revealed that aliens are at the peak of Everest, or at least an alien civilization was here and left a bunch of riches for us. And that's just so weird and comes out of almost nowhere. Though, like I said before, I guess it could be considered foreshadowing with how often you find alien spaceships in the previous scenes. But still, it seems like just more of a realistic game until you get to like the second to last level in this zone, and then you visit the throne room, which is all high tech, and the inner temple, which has a bunch of alien statues. So it's just kind of a weird shift. I guess just the fact that you're climbing up Everest isn't enough. They needed something extra to give the game more oomph in its final act. I don't know. And then, if you didn't find any of the super secret items, this would be the first and only time the game actually tells you that you can find secret items. And you would just get all the silhouettes of them, so you better take a screenshot or something if you want to actually try and find them all yourself.
You have unlocked new footage in my photo album.
But anyway, to end this part off, we'll be watching the last from Ed Vister's travels.
It takes 8 weeks to climb Everest, and during this time your body is getting adjusted to the altitude. We build 4 camps up the side of the mountain to set up the attempt for the summit. We build 1 camp, then go back to base camp to recover and collect more gear. Then climb higher to set up the second camp, go back to base camp, and so on, until 4 camps are established. The final attempt takes 5 days, staying 1 night in each high camp. Then it's 3 more days back down. You start the summit climb at night around 1 a.m. This way, as you climb, you get more and more light, and you'll also have plenty of daylight on the way down. To help climb in the dark, we use headlamps.
I assume this is Ed himself. I don't know. But they even got real life mountaineer Ed Visters to showcase all about climbing up Everest. And then, instead of have you following his advice to climb the mountain, it turns out, oh, you're actually climbing the mountain to find alien civilizations. Just a weird tonal shift. Maybe the alien part was supposed to be more apparent in the game, or maybe the alien part was a more last minute addition to the game. I'm not sure. Because it's weird that the final zone of the game is only 4 levels plus the final puzzle, whereas The other zones were 6 levels, and 8 levels long. So maybe there was some cut content there, or they just wanted to rush to get it out by a deadline. I'm not sure, but anyway, that'll do it for Hidden Expedition Everest, so like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next series. Oh, what's my high score? 305. Over a half hour, or 40 minutes longer than my other attempt on this computer. Oh well. Oh, by the way, there's a bunch of items to find in this title screen too, just like how there was in Titanic. But again, though, they don't really do anything. So it's just pretty weird. And get a load of this very small team that developed it. They did a good job with it, but it's just weird, some of the choices. Mainly that, like, the sound effects are bugged on it. I don't know why, but they are. So imagine if I hadn't actually given you the sound effects edited in and you just had to play through the whole game silent like I had to. I don't get it. But anyway, now for real, I'm done rambling. Like and subscribe if you want. I'll see you in the next series. Goodbye. But don't go quite yet. In the time since I recorded this series, I actually got my hands on the disc version of this game so I can show you the proper sound effects. Of course, by the time I was able to play the disc version, I had already finished editing all of the sound effects in every single part of this series, and I don't want all my work to have been gone to waste. Otherwise, I would have actually just re-recorded the whole Let's Play, probably. But if you're able to, I recommend you play the disc version instead of the digital version, which is silent for some reason. Okay, here I am doing the first level of Zone 1 again. And also getting the secret items again. But as you can hear, the gems have their own unique sound effect to them. So that was an error I made. There's also a whoosh sound effect as you're collecting the items and the gems. I don't know exactly where you're collecting them to, but it's somewhere. And I'll show off in these last few minutes. I'm gonna show off quite a few different things I noticed that happened in this second playthrough of the game. By the way, this is all post-commentary for the gameplay you're viewing, which I think is the first time I've ever done post-commentary on a Let's Play. As you can see, there isn't a unique sound effect for getting the last item in location, so I don't know why the Flash game had that unique sound effect for it. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm just going through this first level to show it off, but I'm also forgetting still that I can just get a hint, so I edited out quite a few seconds of me just doing nothing, looking around for an item when, like, who cares, I got plenty of hints. Why not just use them? Like, I don't know. but playing through the game again with sound effects is a lot better of an experience in my opinion. And here I'm finally realizing, oh, I can use the hints. Huh, imagine that. And now, as you can see here, I had to find 20 pottery pieces this time. In part 1, I had to find 20 shells originally. So there is some randomization. I think it's just 2 possible item types to find in these scenes, but it's cool that it's not just the same thing every single time you play it. And as you could hear, though, some of the time it bugged out some, and the sound effects didn't quite properly play. And now here I'm just showcasing what the too many misclicks sound effect is, because it does have its own unique sound effect. And I cut out 1 minute and 15 seconds of constant misclicking there. And like I said earlier on, you really aren't in any danger of losing given how much time they give you. And if you lose, you just gotta restart the current level. It'd be pretty brutal if they made you restart the whole entire game for failing. And then in this third level, I had to find 20 axes instead of 20 knives like I found in part 2. It's cool though that they bothered to add all these like items and hide them and camouflage them in, but not make not 1 but 2 for each scene. I assume it's 2. It might actually be 3 or more. Something I noticed on this playthrough is the natural history museums in Kiev. I didn't notice that before when I was doing the Let's Play of it. And here I also had to find a sprig of dill, which I had no clue what it was. Dill's an herb you can use in cooking, and common use for it is pickling vegetables, but I always thought dill pickles were just some specific variety of cucumber, but no, I guess it's different. On this playthrough also I noticed a painting of Vlad the Impaler in Transylvania, which is very fitting. Something weird in this version is the secret raven has demonic red eyes. I guess they thought it would be too scary for everyone, so they changed it for the digital version. And now here I have to find 20 cats, but in part 7 I had to find 21 gloves. And if you look on the illustrations at the end of these scenes, like they have both of the item types usually. Not always like there, but some of the time. And in part 8 I said there was a mystical skunk in the sky, but then I corrected myself by saying it looked more like a honey badger, but turns out it really was a skunk. And now here I had to find 20 stars, but in part 8 I had to find 20 telescopes. This is still a really nice scene that I wish would actually have been something as a proper hidden object scene. But alas, it wasn't. And something that's also different with the disc version is after every level it shows each team's time for the current level, not each team's total time for the whole game. I think this makes more sense, because this way you never pull ahead of the other teams by an absurd amount. And it also makes sense why you would want to hit the replay last level button to try and get first place, because you can see how you ranked for that specific level. Here I had to find 20 birds, but in part 9 I had to find 20 lizards. And in case you're wondering, I skipped over a few of these find 20 items scenes, but that's because I had to find the same items I had to in my proper Let's Play. But see, that illustration has both the birds and the lizards. In Shambhala, there's this building which reminded me of St. Basil's Cathedral in Russia. Here in the disc version, the progress bar still doesn't display properly on the first level in the Everest zone. On the door to Everest it looks correct, but on High Camp it doesn't display at all on this or next level, and at Base Camp it displays the Europe progress meter for some reason. I don't know why. Here I had to find 20 radios, which is better equipment to gather for climbing the mountain than the 20 hats I found in part 11. I don't know why they made it hats you had to find. It's kinda weird. And see, there's the radio and the hat there. And now here I am at the final location in the game. Once again though, just like the digital version, there's only 4 levels instead of 5, which implies to me like maybe they cut a 5th level out. All in all though, while replaying this game, I think it's a really solid classic hidden object game. If you like games that have a ton of hidden object findings, I really recommend this one. It's really fun and there's a huge variety of locations. In my opinion though, it would have been better if they had cut out about 2 levels of the Asia zone and added in 2 more levels to Everest, so that it would all be balanced out with 6 levels in each zone. Here I had to find the wrenches again. I don't know what the other item is, but judging by the illustration being a pulley, I would guess you had to find a bunch of ropes. I'm not sure. And once more, I'm making the ascent up to the top of Everest for the weird ending with aliens. I still don't get why it's aliens, but it is. And now something interesting with this final puzzle is the 6 patterns are always the same, but which of the 3 symbols in each pattern you need to fill in is randomized. You can compare this one with the one from the first time I beat the game earlier on in this part. And I did it a lot quicker though than the first time. And once again you get the treasure. I'm not sure how the first place is determined though, if it's overall time or just your performance on the last level. And now as you can see, even in the disc version, collecting all the secret items is pointless, and there were a few other changes to some of the items' images.
There's new footage in my photo album.
Anyway, that's it for Hidden Expedition Everest. Like and subscribe if you want, for real.